Greetings. Let's talk. So, this is kind of an interesting video because we're going to talk about something that a majority of you almost certainly know about. But I found out the other day there are actually some people who, even though they're active with their local SCA group in certain areas, they don't know about this, and that is populace meetings. Now that immediately leads to two questions. First of all, some people legitimately want to know, okay, what's a populace meeting? I've heard of them. And what does it entail, of course? And the second thing that leads to is, how could someone be active in the local SCA group and not know what a populace meeting is? And let's answer those questions because those answers kind of segue into some slightly larger talking points. First of all, what is a populace meeting? Populace meeting is the general business meeting for the group. Depending on where you live, various rules and regulations within the society require the meetings and can require certain activities to take place during the meetings. Populace meetings are required by Corpora. Each group within the SCA, each local group, is required to host one populace meeting a month. That's part of the base requirements. That is one of the requirements to show general health to the board of directors and to the kingdom and to whatever region you might be part of. You're required to give officer reports there, and that is to make the officers accessible to the public. If someone has a question about financial policy or about SCA policy, they can talk to the Reeve or the Seneschal. Or if someone has a question about a practice or a class, they can talk to a marshal or the Minister of Arts and Sciences or whatnot. That is the accepted central coordination point each month for the general members of the populace to find out and hear about the goings-on of the group for the next month. Do some groups not have meetings every month? There are a few exceptions that I've seen. I know that there's one barony that, because of the calendar and because of the city where they're based out of, December is just a really bad month to try and have a populace meeting. So it's kind of understood that they skip their December populace meeting. And there's no real problem with that. I know that the officers gave reports when I was having this conversation with them. I know the officers gave reports by email, and there were email announcements, and now with social media, there'd probably be even more options for them. So it's not that the rule is absolutely inflexible, but as a general rule, if you are part of the SCA, your group should be having some sort of general get-together, possibly virtually, where you find out what's going on. That is a populace meeting. Now, that leads to the next question. How in the heck could someone be active in a local group and not know what populace meetings are? Well, let's talk about that because there are actually two scenarios I'm intimately familiar with that I think is important not only for the members to be aware of, but I think that certain officers like seneschals and hospitallers, especially newer officers, people who have joined since the COVID lockdowns, might not be aware of this. And that's, an individual would discover the SCA through a friend or through some sort of activity in a public area like a park or something, and they will continue to go to that activity, but they may not go to anything else. Now, what do I mean by that? Fighter practice is the first thing that comes to mind. People who who really enjoy the fighting aspect of the SCA, they might go to 2, 3, 4 fighter practices a month, and that's their thing. They know what the SCA is. They may even have been to a few events, but they just haven't made time on a Monday night or a Tuesday night or whenever populace meeting is each month to go to Populace. Now, why is that? Some of it's certainly for availability. Like, they have time for fighter practice. They don't have time for Populace meeting, which that's fair. I'm not saying anything's wrong with that, but that's part of it. But part of it also is that for them, the SCA as they understand it, starts and ends at the fighter practice. They probably know that Populace meetings exist, but no one has sold them on, hey, it is worth your time to come to the Populace meetings. Another example that's not heavy or rapier fighter practice, there's one friend of mine. They attend thrown weapons practice every Sunday that they can. They're actually really good at throwing weapons. I would not want to be downrange of them when they're flinging axes because they can land them. I don't think I've seen them at anything else. And they know other things are available. That's not their thing. They want to go throw weapons, which is cool. That's fine. I don't have any problem with that. But when I last looked, because I actually was interested and I took a look at the people I know and what they were attending, there are actually a not small number of people, maybe 4, I believe in my case, who probably haven't actually been to a Populace meeting. Now, what's the takeaway from this? There are 2 takeaways. First of all, if you are active in the SCA and you have never been to a Populace meeting, I really encourage you to take some time out of your month, this month, next month, whenever, and attend, because whatever you're doing, if all you're in for is arts and sciences, that's fine. I know plenty of people who are dedicated artisans. If all you're doing is for the martial combat expert, that's fine. Seriously, I'm not saying you need to change your direction. But the SCA is also a community, and the larger community may be able to better help you with your pursuits. Now, that's a nice, vague, general way of saying something. What do I mean by that? Well, first of all, connecting with non-fighters, connecting with people at the Populace meetings, first of all, may give you access to people and skills that you're interested in to help further your pursuits. If you're a fighter, maybe you need someone to help you make a gambeson, or maybe you need someone to help you make, or who might possibly want to trade with you to where they make some piece of armor or some weapon that you just don't know how to make or don't have the skills to do. If you're an artisan, oh man, knowing about the artisans that are there who you could learn from or practice with, that's invaluable. And last but not least, if I was going to hunt around to find out where other activities are taking place, other fighter practices, other ANS classes, events that cater to that, whatever it is I'm doing, Populace meetings are where I would go. Like, if all you do is throwing weapons, okay, cool, great, seriously. Going to Populace meetings is a really good chance to find out, hey, are there a bunch of us going down to another group's thrown weapons practice? Is there a thrown weapons event coming up? Is there just some activity going up where all the people from thrown weapons are going to go hang out and do X, and it's not on our normal, thrown weapons date, but yeah, we're all going to go do this. That is something that you may enjoy at least knowing about. Even if you don't go, I wouldn't imagine there'd be any harm in knowing, hey, we're all going to go do this, and you're, of course, invited. So, I know this is, it really is one of those interesting questions where if you already know what a Populace meeting is, this video might be mildly informative. And if you don't know what a Populace meeting is, and you're active in some aspects of the SCA, there's kind of a question from all of us of how the heck did you accomplish that? But I have discovered lately that dichotomy does exist. There are a handful of people who have never been to a Populace meeting and yet have been attending practices or meetings for months now. So I wanted to share that, and I wanted to kind of put that out there, partially to reach out to those people who haven't been to a meeting, but also for the officers, the officer corps, the leadership, so that you guys understand that it you may it may behoove you to put a little bit of energy into outreach towards your individual practices to try and make sure everyone who's showing up even knows Populace is a thing. So that really is the bulk of it. Again, there's if you already know what Populace is, this is a redundant video, and if you don't know what it is, let's just get you there, and you can find out how cool and awesome it tends to be. So I'll go ahead and wrap it up right there. If you have any questions or any cool stories about your Populace meetings, feel free to look me up in the comments down below. But until next time, I'll see you at the next event. Goodbye, and God bless.